So I've decided to do a few vlogs about some of the things that I sell in the shop, and I thought the first one would be good on a new puppy. So you may have had dogs before, or you may never have had a dog before. You may not know what you need to get, and you may be overwhelmed with the sorts of things that are on the market at the moment. So what I've done is come up with a little tick list of things that you might find useful with your new puppy. Starting at the top, food, obviously. Now, your breeder should give you a good supply of dry or wet food, depending on what your puppy's been raised on, for you to sort of tide you over whilst your new puppy's getting used to its new home environment. Once that sort of settling in period is finished, you might want to think about changing the food, and then you can come and see me and see some of the wonderful things that I do. Everything that I do is nice and natural, high quality meat, human grade meat, all that kind of thing. So you can come along and talk to me. A couple of good examples, or one good example, is the Simply Puppy Food. This one here, it's a very simple recipe. It's got rice in it, and this is a really good example of a good basic puppy food that you could move your puppy onto if you wanted to change what you've been given by the breeder. Other things you're going to need when you get your new puppy at the beginning are training treats and other treats. You want to get on with the training as soon as possible. You want to make sure that your puppy knows what to do and gets rewarded for doing all the right things, like going to the toilet on a mat or in the garden. The puppy treats you can't use until they're about 16 months old, and if you look on the back of the packets it will tell you that. Other things you might need to get are things like toys, so you can get things that they can cuddle up with, things with squeakers in, balls, chewy toys, all sorts of bits and pieces like that. Here's an example of a really good one that every single puppy should have, and that's a Kong. So this is really good for teething. It's a particular type of rubber, so it's not the same rubber as the adult Kong, but a softer rubber to help with teething. Use it by putting bits and pieces inside, keep them entertained and occupied for a little bit. And also you can put dog food in there, you can freeze wet dog food in there if you want to make it last for a little bit longer. Other things you may want to consider getting before you get your puppy are things like a puppy cage or a crate. I prefer to call them a den because it sounds nicer. And a crate or a cage gives it a bad sort of image. You'll need puppy pads for puppy training, bowls, collars and leads. It's something simple like this, good quality but a reasonable price, and a small version. It goes down to one, which is a 20cm neck, so quite a small neck. You may consider a harness. ID tag, very important for when the dog is going actually out and about. So regarding a tag, the Controller Dogs Order 1992 states that any dog in a public place should wear the name and address of the owner either inscribed on the collar or a nameplate or disc attached to it. You may need a brush or comb, depending on the type of coat that your dog's got. Poo bags and a poo bag holder, stain and odour remover, and other little bits and pieces like coats depending on the time of year, shampoos or wipes, toothbrush and toothpaste. Very important to start doing this as early as possible. So you obviously don't have to get all of that stuff on day one, but that's just an idea of the kind of things you may need for your new puppy. And finally, other things to remember for your new puppy: you need to remember to register with a vet and get her jabs booked in. Puppy classes, get her socialised and out and about. As soon as she's had the second lot of jabs, I'm saying she, could be he or she, but as soon as your puppy's had their second lot of jabs, get them to a puppy class. Book it early because they do get booked up quite quickly, to make sure that she's well in, kind of meets lots of other dogs and gets to know other dogs and what it's all about out there. Insurance, breed specific insurance is quite important because depending on the breed depends on the kind of issues that might come up. Pugs, for example, have breathing problems, Dachshunds back problems and so on. A groomer, depending again on the type of coat that your dog has, you may want to get the dog to a groomer quite early on, and dogs' coats change as they grow from a puppy to an adult dog, so you need to be aware of what treatments and what help you will need for that. Finally, a good dog sitter or kennels, because you will want to go on holiday without your dog at some point, and good dog sitters get booked up very, very quickly. Well, I hope that's been useful, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next vlog. Thank you.